So in this video, we're going to look at how to ask the user the classic New Mexican question of what sort of chili they would like. So, would you like red or green? Okay. So, we're going to use if. So if their chili choice is the same as red, I like to put a space in between on either side of the double equals, but you don't need it if you prefer that. So if they choose red, we will print a fine choice. And what if they print green? I don't want to, so we can skip this easily, but suppose I want a unique response for green. I can use else. Else is a really handy thing. Else is what happens if the if does not happen. Now in this case, we could actually do it exactly the same as if chili either does not equal red, right? So we can say not equal. Or if we can trust the user to only type in, green, we can say, well, if it equals green. But I don't want to do that. I want to use else and demonstrate how to use this. So else will print green is also my favorite. Okay. So what's going to happen here when we run this program is the user will type in whatever they type in. If they type in red, then it'll print a fine choice. And if they don't type in red, if this is not true, we will skip this code and we'll go down here and run green is also my fave. One of these two things has to happen. All right, so we run it, and I type in red, and I get a fine choice, and I run it again, and I have these big fat fingers that type all the wrong keys, and I type it in, and it says green is also my fave, right? So regardless of what I type in, as long as it's not red, it will do this else down here. So maybe that's not really what we want. Maybe we would prefer if they actually typed in green. So we can use something called an elif. And elif is simply short for else if. And we have to put it, you'll notice this red line right here, right? We have to put in a condition. We have to put in something that can be evaluated to be either true or false. So I'm going to say else if they put in green, and then we'll type in green is also my fave. So when I run it, red or green, this time if I type in green, types in green is also my fave. But if I hit all the wrong keys on the keyboard, and press OK, it doesn't print anything, right? This is the input, and then what I typed in, and it doesn't print anything after that. Suppose we put in another else, right? So there's kind of a chain happening here. I've chained together an if, and if that's not true, let's check to see if this is true, and else is what happens if none of the other things were true. So else print, I do not understand what you're asking for, or just I do not understand. Okay, so we'll run it now. And again, I just can't type to save my life. Tried to type in green, typed in 7FC. All right, and then it says I do not understand, right? Is chili equal to red? Nope. Is chili equal to green? Nope. Otherwise, else, whatever's left over, well, it's something. I'm going to print I do not understand. All right, so again, how does this work? We always have to start this sort of chain with an if, right? If something is true, then we're going to do this. And if that thing is true, we're going to skip everything else. So let me run it again just to show you now that I've changed the code up. I type in red, I hit enter, a fine choice. I don't check to see if anything is green. I don't go down to the else because something was true to start with, and I'm done at this point. Now, if I have a different if down here, if I start a new if, it doesn't even matter if I leave the space there. If I have a new if, it doesn't matter which of these three things happened. This is going to be checked separately. It's sort of a separate piece. It's a different part of the chain. So if their response to the chili was Christmas, print you can have both. Okay, so if I run it again, suppose I type in Christmas. It's going to first print I do not understand, and then it's going to print you can have both. Because what happens here is we check, is chili equal to red? Nope. Is chili equal to green? Nope. Otherwise, well, it's otherwise. It's equal to Christmas. We don't even check that, but the else happens when all the previous items in the chain were not true. It's going to print I do not understand. And then we're done with that set of if and elif statements. We're going to go down and we're going to check this next line. Well, if chili equals Christmas, great, that's true. You can have both. So this is separate from what came before. Now suppose that's not really how I want to run my program. Maybe what I really want to do is I also want to check if their choice was Christmas. Well, let's put in elif right here. So elif chili is Christmas, you can have both. So now, if they type in red, we'll print out this. If they type in green, we'll print out this. If they type in Christmas, we'll print out this. Otherwise, we will do nothing because I have no more code down here. So now, if I type in Christmas, only you can have both will print out. If I type in nonsense, nothing will happen. But if I put that else back in, now this is all part of the same chain, right? If has to start the chain, elifs are links in the chain, and else is the end of the chain. But as we just saw, you can also end the chain with just an elif. You can end the chain at any point in time. But if you always want one of these options to happen, you need to have an else, because else will be sort of the default. If nothing else was true, we're going to go down and we're going to run the else anyway. But if you want at most one of these things to happen, maybe none of them, then you just want a chain of if and elifs to be true. So this is when we have a bunch of different options, and we need to decide like how many of these options can possibly occur in the same run of the program. How many do we want to occur? So now let me just demonstrate this final bit of code here. I type in nonsense. It says I do not understand. But if I type in green, it only prints out green is also my fave, right? As soon as one of these items in the chain is true, we're going to hit that, we're going to run that branch of code and none of the rest of them. And as we saw in the previous video with the if statements, you can have more than one item here, right? We can print spicy. We can even change the value of chili. What if we change the value of chili to Christmas? Now I need to put quotes around this so it's a string. All right, so let's think about what's going to happen here when I run this program and I type in green. Green is also my fave and spicy. It did not print out you can have both, even though I changed the value of chili to be Christmas. And then it looks kind of like on the next line I checked to see if chili is equal to Christmas. But that's not the way this works. So I typed in green. It says if chili is red, well, it's not. Else if the chili is green, that's true. Okay, great. This is the code we're going to run. And regardless of anything that happens inside this indented code, right, as with the if, the elif and the else have to have their indented code. Regardless of what happens in here, we're not going to run any of the rest of the items in this chain, even though we changed the value of chili to Christmas. And just to verify that I actually did change the value of chili to Christmas, we'll print it out, run this one last time. All right, so I type in green, types out green is also my fave, spicy, and then Christmas. Right down here is where we're printing out that Christmas value. So the value has been changed, even though we're no longer indented. We're going to move on with this program if we wanted to make it longer, and the value of chili is different now.